in my opinion, what are the risks, what are the benefits of social isolation? And we think that the risks of social isolation are too high.
So you guys own and run this facility, is that correct?
We have 7, yes.
Yeah. What would you say to critics who would say, well, they've got a stake in this game, they are pushing this data, or their representation of this data because they don't want to lose money? What would you say to those folks who say, I'm going to believe, maybe someone else who, the wider world scientific community who says these 2 doctors, despite their, intelligence, they have an ulterior motive? What would you say to those people?
Talk to ER doctors who have no ulterior motive. They have the same viewpoint. There's a post today from a doctor from Wisconsin. I encourage you all to read it. I'll share his story with you. It is exactly what we're saying. And he eloquently displays, he's an ER doctor. He says, I'm walking into this war zone. Our ICUs are empty. I'm scared to go to my own place of work. There's no patients, but we have people in hazmat suits checking my temperature as I walk through the doors. He's like, something else is going on here. This is not about science, and it's not even about COVID. When they use the word safe, if you listen to the word safe, that's about controlling you. So when I talk to all my ER doctors who work in a hospital, no stake in the game, same opinion. That's how I'll answer your question. We all have the same opinion.
So then you say that hospitals are losing money right now, most of them. But at the same time, you said earlier that doctors are feeling pressure from hospital administrations to put COVID down as a reason of death, which would presumably instill more fear in people. Doesn't that go against that whole line of thought? Why would they do that if it was going to cause more fear and cause them to lose more money?
Exactly. There's something else going on. And that's a different discussion.
We don't know. I mean, we're just here to present the scientific
That's
facts.
a political discussion.
Yeah. So you think some hospital administrators are undercutting their own bottom line?
We're presenting the medical data here. I mean, what I think about politics is irrelevant. We're presenting the medical data.
We need to stay on things that we can answer intelligently, which is not why does a CEO of some hospital in Wisconsin do that. We need to stay on the topic of, do we need to shelter in place, and does that make sense from the microbiology knowledge we've known for 30 years? The sciences haven't changed. We live our life in the life sciences. Biology, biochemistry, microbiology. So everything that you're asking us goes against that sheet of information. Why people do things at a hospital is not really our area of expertise. So from what we're seeing right now, it's time to open back up. The science says it is. The models we have been using from predictions to predict the amount of disease are not accurate. This information is accurate. It models the flu. Let's go back to work. That's what the data is saying. Not models. Data is saying that.
Would you say, though, that like a situation in New York City, that's not like a flu? I mean, the hospitals there are completely overwhelmed and swamped, and people, working in the ERs are dying from this. So, I mean, that's not just a flu type situation, right?
Look at Italy in 2017. Hospital systems overwhelmed, people dying, overwhelmed system from the flu. This happens from the flu. If you've been working in the ERs, I've seen multiple people, hallways full, people dying, news media there, stories going on from the flu. This does happen. This does happen.
It's not just the flu. It's
No.
the flu. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. People think it's just the flu. It's just coronavirus. What's the difference? You're used to the flu. You're used to saying it's just the flu. FLU, influenza, is something we've grown up with. You're used to it. You're used to it, right? If somebody commits suicide today, you're like, yeah, that person committed suicide, it's awful. Or if somebody dies today from the flu, they died from the flu. It's awful, terrible, but we're used to it. We're not used to coronavirus. Not used to something brings fear. Human beings don't like change.
I just, from the things that I've been reading of even, doctors working in the ERs in New York City, I haven't heard any one of them saying, oh, it's similar to a flu outbreak. I mean, they were pretty impacted by swine flu in New York City, but I haven't heard anybody really say, oh, it's just like swine flu was. Have you?
They're getting hit hard. They're a hot zone. And we don't ride subways with, 1,000 people in a small car. They're this close. They had reasons for the disease. And coronavirus is shown to be very contagious. Let's be clear. It is contagious. We're not saying it's not. It may even be, from what I've read, more contagious and spread more rapid. But the actual cause of death and the disease cycle is similar to what we're seeing from the flu, with more of a respiratory component. You know, and they were screaming for ventilators. What percent of people die on ventilators? 80, 90%? Once you're on a ventilator, if you understand, you're in a bad shape. And they're screaming for 30,000 ventilators that they didn't use, right? They're screaming for a lot of things. 30,000, they used 5. How many 100% over did they order? How many hundreds of millions of dollars? Entire companies, GM, were forced to switch their production lines. For what? I'm saying the secondary causes of what we're seeing, oil shutdown. We have predictable negatives from lockdown. Predictable negatives. Corona has unpredictable negatives.
Here's what you're saying. I mean, it sounds like you're saying we actually have some data to look at now, and in the beginning we didn't really know, but now we can draw some conclusions.
And those conclusions that you guys were able to draw, really the entire nation, do you think, you know, respectively, the numbers are low in those ratios that you were mentioning, the fatality versus how many people have it, because we've been social distancing? Now, you don't think it's because since we started doing these, that those models that Mario County Health shows how effective social distancing is, that's all false?
But that's why we went over Sweden and Norway. We went over Sweden and Norway because you have lockdown, no lockdown. Sweden, no lockdown. Norway, lockdown. That's 10 million, that's 15 million people. We have the data. That's what I just went over with you. Lockdown.
Norway and Sweden also have drastically different testing standards and metrics. Norway is basically testing everybody. Sweden, they're only testing you if you end up in a hospital.
No, that's not accurate. They're not testing everybody.
Well, of course, they're not testing all 5.5 million Norwegians, but their testing is much more widespread.
The bottom line is, from those of us who study it and have a background in this, is lockdown versus non-lockdown did not produce a statistically different number of deaths. That is the bottom line.
That we know. Right, so people could be dying in their home from other things, but in Sweden, if they're not being tested, then they don't know what the cause of death is.
Yeah, and if you're to give me a test on analyzing these numbers and trying to, I probably wouldn't perform so well. I guess what I'm trying to cross-reference is I hear our president, I hear our governor say social distancing is working. And you guys are saying it's not needed. So I guess that's what I'm trying to wrap my head around. And why is that?
It was needed initially.
Are they lying? Are they lying?
It was needed initially. They actually, we both agree with exactly what they did initially because we didn't know. It was an unknown. Now it is becoming known. Initially, when you don't know something, you're extra careful because you're fearful. It's just like when you see a patient and they're very sick, you test for everything because you're scared. You're fearful. But then as you see more of those patients, you realize, hey, I know what to test for, right? It's shotgun effect versus sniper effect, right? So initially when this data came out of a new virus that's lethal, they went all out. And I think that was appropriate. But now that we have the data, we're seeing that 96, 97% of patients completely recover. And those 4 patients that died have over 90% comorbidities. Let's run through that one more time. Out of 100 people, if 96 do fine, the 4 that die, 90% of those 4 have comorbidities. Heart failure, emphysema, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus. They're on immunomodulating medications. They're immunodeficient, HIV. These are the people that are dying. You get some healthy people that die, but that's an infinitesimal number. Tiny.
So when you think that differentiation of the conclusions that you doctors are drawing versus them is because they are academics or something along that line? What you were
Well, I think we're in the weeds. We work with this every single day, and the numbers don't make sense to us. And they don't make sense to ER physicians and physicians all over the country. It's not just us.
Okay. So then my final question, just to make sure we get it right, I think you guys did this. Please keep your first or last name spelling, please your first or last name spelling, please. Thank you, sir.
Dan Erickson, that's DANERICKSON.
Perfect, thank you.
Artin, ARTIN, MASSIHI.
Awesome, thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Thanks very much.
ARTIN.
Thanks, Brian. Hey guys, thank you so much.
And you guys are the co-owners of
Yeah.
Accelerated Urgent Care, okay. I'm just looking through to make sure that I answered all